And so I started getting these stories first from my grandmothers. My grandma Weaselhead, my grandma Rides at the Door. My grandma Rides at the Door was a Sundance woman, and her husband was a real high in our hierarchy. He was a Sundance man, and he belonged to the Horn Society on our reserve. And my grandmother told me, you know, your grandpa, he really likes to invite people. He said one day, it was early in the morning, I wasn't ready for guests, and he was outside standing, oh, come here and eat. And so I started rushing around. In those days, they didn't have many vehicles, so you didn't just go out and buy food. When they moved up to the Sundance, everything had to be there. And so my grandma had gotten about 4 layers of eggs, you know, those big layers, and she put them down, and she was rushing around, and she turned down and she sat on all the eggs. But the way that she relayed it back to me, our old ladies like to talk risque. And she said, I busted all my gonads. She said, oh, you got bucket away. And the way that she said it, I was so shocked. I was looking at her because, you know, here's somebody you hold way up there and she's talking like that. It's just, huh? And so these experiences that I've had, I put them into my movies now. Right now, I just sold my first movie. It's called Running Eagle. Hopefully it's going to be a series. Running Eagle was a female warrior. Everybody says she's gay nowadays, but she, you know, in those days there wasn't many gay people. She was just a girl that was told by the sun that she had to put up sun dances. And in order for a Blackfoot woman to put up a sun dance, she has to be a virgin. She's allowed to marry once, and she has to stay married to that man, and she has to stay faithful to him. So Running Eagle was told by her guardian helper. Running Eagle's mother and father died, so she became the mother and the father for her siblings. And she went up to this place in Glacier National Park called Trick Falls. It's now been changed back to Running Eagle Falls, and she climbed up that falls and she went into the cave and she was given her power. So my story, my movie is about a very young modern girl whose parents were so Catholic, they were more Catholic than the Catholics. So this very modern girl is going to be chosen by Running Eagle. And one of the things that she has to do is to talk silly with her grandma, you know, and one of the things that I was told in writing school and film school is that if your producer tells you to change something, don't say anything, just change it. So one of those scenes that I had to leave out of my movie was one scene where I pinch, that my heroine pinches her grandmother's buns, teasing her, and so I had to leave that scene out. But Running Eagle gives her power to this very modern young girl who's just a cowgirl tomboy. She's a barrel racer. She's won 16 trophy saddles, and here she has to deal with the spirit that she knows nothing about. And one of the things that she has to do is Running Eagle comes to her and tells her, oh, that person needs help. And some way she has to find a way to paint these people's faces. And so these old stories I can take and put in very modern times. When I was first studying with my elders, I didn't think of it as studying with my elders. What I thought of it was I'm getting transfers. They were transferring things to me. So I always say my grandmothers transferred a lot of holy knowledge, but they also transferred talking risque to me. Because our old people are like that, they'll tease. We have a very formal protocol. Like all my female relatives, their husbands can tease me like you wouldn't believe. Risque, and more risque. And we had to accept that teasing. I hated my oldest sister's husband. I hated him with a passion when I was a little girl. Because every time he'd come to my house, he'd tell me, oh, Beverly, pack up your stuff. You're coming home with me. You're going to be my sits beside the door wife. Now, that's the lowest position that you can have as a plural wife, who sits beside the door. And I used to think, Mom, I don't want to marry her. You don't have to. Not today. Maybe another time. But this is the way I got teased when I was young. And so these are the things that I weave into my stories. My stories are about our people, because we have so much healing to do. We've had one hell of a history. But to come above it and help other people come beyond that. And on top of that, educate non-native people that we weren't just lost on Turtle Island. I mean, we were actually living on Turtle Island, not lost. So these stories that we share through our writings is also education. Education for people that don't know our history.